This is The Raid with your host, Grant Bowler.
My goodness, what a wild year it's been here in Las Vegas for sports, with the NFL recently approving the relocation for the Raiders to come to Las Vegas, now giving the city the full speed ahead green light to plan and to construct and to really dive in and begin preparing everything that it takes to build an NFL stadium, which I think is going to be the single most spectacular football stadium of anywhere on the planet. And this stadium is going to become home for the UNLV football team and for the Las Vegas Raiders. Just prior to that, Las Vegas officially became home for the NHL franchise, the Vegas Golden Knights. So now we're going to have a hockey team here, and UNLV basketball coach Marvin Menzies and his recent success in recruiting, landing just a monster of a recruiting class. It's not going to take Coach Menzies long at all to get that UNLV basketball program right back to where it needs to be. So really an exciting time if you're a sports fan in Las Vegas. I'm Grant Bowler. Thank you for joining me on The Raid, which is sponsored by rebelraid.com. You know, the Rebel football program and Coach Tony Sanchez continue to climb the college football mountain. They started in a really deep hole when they took the job here at UNLV. They've made a lot of progress, and they continued their ascent upward with not only the stadium developments, but also with the building of a separate facility on UNLV's campus. They have several projects going on. Coach Sanchez has been engaging the community, seeking donations and raising money to build a 73,000 square foot, $27 million Fertitta Football Training Complex. And I know they've raised the majority of that amount of money, and they're getting close to breaking ground on that facility. They hope to get shovels in the ground sometime this summer. And if you've seen the renderings on this Fertitta Football Training Complex on campus and what it's going to look like, you can see it will be just beautiful. It will be the crown jewel of UNLV's athletic department. And so the changes and the transformation that's happening with the university's athletics, and particularly with the UNLV football program, I think are simply fascinating. These facilities will be a game changer as Coach Sanchez and his staff venture out on recruiting. The impact of having this caliber of elite football facilities will have a major role in luring top student athletes to choose Las Vegas as a big-time destination to play out their collegiate careers, which was not the case in the past. And so that impact is only going to grow as construction advances toward the completion of these facilities. We haven't even, like I said, we haven't even broken ground yet, and there's already a palpable buzz in the community over what opportunities these facilities are going to bring the community as well as the university. You know, it's interesting and probably slightly amusing the manner in which universities and their respective fans all pitch and promote their favorite teams on social media to potential student athletes. On Twitter, for example, the other day I was reading various tweets fans were sending out to football prospects who had been offered scholarships by their schools. And fans, they merely want to express their support and encourage prospects to join their favorite college team. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how it should be. I've done it. I think most of us have probably, if you're on social media, you've probably sent a tweet or two out to somebody you hope would commit to your school. So there's nothing wrong with that. I was reading a University of Wyoming fan wrote to one prospect that I saw saying, "Come to Wyoming and be a part of something special. Wyoming football is truly building something special." And then I read a dozen other tweets from other fans from other schools all saying the same thing. "Come to such and such school and be part of something special." You know, the amusement lies in that every fan across America believes their school is building something special, which is great. That's how it should be. Yes, fans are biased, and we're passionate, and fans are enthusiastic. But that enthusiasm is the very formula that makes college football in this country the greatest game in the world. So if you take away that fan enthusiasm, then you're stuck with something like synchronized swimming or women's softball. You know, something that's just not that exciting. It doesn't have the fan base enthusiasm that football generates. And in fairness to Wyoming and their fans, they are achieving progress, which was evident last season with their first place finish in the Mountain Division of the Mountain West Conference and their appearance in the conference championship game against San Diego State. So no disrespect to Wyoming fans. But in regard to UNLV, and to the changes occurring on UNLV's campus and in the city of Las Vegas as a whole, we're talking about something a little different here. Something immensely unusual and extraordinary that will fundamentally define the way UNLV football functions entirely going forward. Major transformations like this have occurred at other football programs and other universities before. It's not completely unheard of, but it is very rare, the magnitude of transformations that are about to come UNLV's way. The Rebel football teams that you've watched and known for the past 30 years will resemble nothing like the Rebel football program that will unfold in the coming years. It's like comparing a race between the donkey Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh and the American thoroughbred racehorse and Triple Crown winner Secretariat. And if you don't know who Secretariat is, go Google the fastest racehorse in the history of horse racing, and Secretariat's picture will show up. I'm trying to give you a visual illustration on the dramatic upgrade that is about to come UNLV's way. In the past, the Rebel football team has been driving a Honda Civic, but now they're getting the keys to a new 740 horsepower V12 engine Lamborghini Aventador. I mean, that's the type of upgrade that we're talking about here. The future UNLV program will operate under a whole new level of opportunities in terms of recruiting and scheduling opponents and drawing crowds and bringing pride and football tradition to the UNLV campus, which now is going to be right by the stadium. In the past, all these things were areas of shame and embarrassment. I recall some time ago having written an email to former UNLV athletic director Tina Kunzer Murphy and just expressing my frustration to her a little bit, saying, look, UNLV football cannot just continue to fail year in and year out the way it has been. It's an embarrassment to the alumni, to the students, the fans, the community. If the university cannot make an effort to try to make it the best that it can be, then what's the point in having it? And she responded, and she gave a thoughtful and well-meaning response, which I appreciated. And she kind of outlined some of these things that were in the pipeline. And since then, it's all become public now, and it's starting to come to fruition. And we see these changes that are upon us here in Las Vegas. And it's changing in dramatic fashion. And these enormous changes are what will empower upcoming UNLV teams to hunt for championships and climb polls and earn rankings and play in bowl games with a regularity never before seen. Add that to the fact that once the Raiders arrive to Las Vegas itself will explode into a major football town where football is discussed 365 days of the year and will be a place where people literally travel from around the world to attend games at the Las Vegas Stadium. Think about it. Vegas will be home to an NFL franchise, but more accurately, Vegas will be the very epicenter of Raider Nation, which is one of the NFL's most iconic brands and storied franchises in the league. And I'm not sure here in Las Vegas we really understand the magnitude of that yet. Raiders president Mark Bourdain indicated a few weeks ago in a Stadium Authority Board meeting that they're receiving season ticket deposits from people all over. Folks in Canada and Australia, he said. He mentioned Hawaii, as well as from all around the region in Nevada, California, Arizona, Utah, etc., etc. So any given game day for a Raiders game, there may be 25,000 football fans flying into town to catch an NFL game. So, you think we have 25,000 Sport Junkies fans flying into Vegas. There's a good chance that many of them may just want to take in the college atmosphere at the stadium also on Saturday night. It'll be kind of like a doubleheader. Go to the college game Saturday night, hit the NFL game the next day on Sunday. Imagine a game with UNLV versus Cal or Stanford or Utah or USC or UCLA or BYU. Take your pick, because any of those would draw a capacity crowd. In building this palace of a stadium, it's not only the Raiders who are doing the relocating. I see this development as the relocation of UNLV football, literally and figuratively. And this relocation happens to put the Rebels instantly smack dab in the spotlight of the brightest and biggest entertainment people magnet of the world, which of course is the glamorous Las Vegas Strip. So think about this shift for a moment. Visualize what a UNLV football tailgating experience will be like. First of all, fans will now be tailgating right in the heart of Vegas, as opposed to the dusty outskirts, kind of dingy part of rundown Henderson. The Rebels home stadium, the new stadium, is going to be a cool, breathtaking structure with lights gleaming, with all of the colorful, bright reflections shining on the stadium from the hotel corridor across the strip. Fans will gather and tailgate in a paved parking area, landscaped with trees and with state-of-the-art amenities and game day festivities. It will feel exciting because all of the features of a major university athletic event will be there in abundance. Live music jamming, the aroma of cooking and grilling and barbecuing all permeating the open air, and the scent traveling over to the hotel resorts. The attraction of lights and music and food alone will lure people toward the stadium on game nights. So suddenly a UNLV football ticket is far more exciting because the pomp and circumstance of a college football game day there is going to just dwarf anything that ever occurred out at Sam Boyd Stadium. Fans don't really comprehend the significance of this quote-unquote relocation. We talk about the new era of UNLV football. This is going to be a new era of Raider football, a new chapter of Raider football, but it's a whole new chapter for UNLV football as well. It's significant that UNLV Stadium will no longer be in competition against the Las Vegas Strip, but instead now will be the main event showcasing on the Las Vegas Strip. So the cool place to be on a Saturday night will be right there on the stadium grounds watching college football. The setting allows for UNLV students to become more of a fixture at games. They'll be drawn in that direction and can enjoy the college atmosphere amid the city lights and nightlife. School pride can cultivate due to the close proximity of the stadium to UNLV's campus, allowing students and alumni to develop traditions. Perhaps, for example, UNLV's marching band and the school could hold the parade near the strip or on game days, or I don't know. There's all kinds of ideas for new traditions and customs that UNLV football can develop. The bottom line is the Las Vegas community is ready to support a winning college football team. They're ready to support the UNLV Rebel football program, and building this new stadium, building the practice facility, that's going to position the Rebels to not only win, but to thrive and to become the preeminent program in the Mountain West Conference. When I was at the UNR game, Reno came into Las Vegas toward the end of the season last year, and I attended that game out at Sam Boyd Stadium, and I noticed sitting about 30 feet away from me was the local Las Vegas band. They're a world famous band, the Imagine Dragons. We're there to watch the Rebels and to cheer on the Rebels. They're a Las Vegas group who loves the Rebels, and I think as the Rebels emerge in the conference and as the games continue to become increasingly exciting, you'll see more celebrities. You'll see more that Vegas has to offer at these games, at the Rebel games, and that's the type of experience that I think UNLV fans can look forward to in this new venue. You know, prior to the NFL owners meeting where they voted nearly unanimously to approve the Raiders' move to Vegas, people asked me if I thought the vote for relocation would happen, and I told everybody absolutely, without question, it would happen because it made too much sense not to. I mean, the opportunity to move the Raiders to Las Vegas just made so much sense on multiple levels. For every valid reason against moving to Vegas, there were 10 more good reasons for moving to Vegas. That's not to say in any way that had the Raiders decided to stay in Oakland or the NFL decided to keep them in Oakland, that Oakland was a bad option. Oakland would have been a good option also, because other than the stadium situation in Oakland, there was nothing negative about Oakland keeping the Raiders. In fact, a lot of people hoped the Raiders would stay in Oakland, and that's completely fine. But with all that aside, you cannot discount the huge opportunity Las Vegas presented to the NFL. It just made too much sense. So now in looking at UNLV UNLV, we have to look at how the stadium infrastructure and growth at UNLV will not only impact the Rebels football program, but also how will it turn up the school's motivation to join the Pac-12 Conference. People are asking me if I anticipate UNLV to join the Pac-12 Conference at some point, and without hesitation, I say absolutely. My anticipation is 3 or 4 years from now, the university and the football program will be right at a level that's very attractive to the Pac-12. I'm just looking at the forecast of UNLV and the growth occurring. An eventual joining of the Pac-12 Conference just makes too much sense from my perspective. I have a good friend who lives up in Oakland, and he and I were talking about the Raiders coming to Vegas, and I asked him what the reaction was up there when the news broke about the relocation vote. Naturally, he said everybody up there was upset, which I understand completely. But then our conversation shifted about UNLV, and I told him that this development, this stadium, will also catapult the Rebels into serious discussion of joining the Power 5 schools. And I think he kind of smirked a little bit, and his reply had sort of a dismissal tone, and he began by pointing out that UNLV has to first improve academically before a move to the Power 5 could occur, which I didn't agree with. But here's the thing. My friend has not been on UNLV's campus for quite some time, so he frankly was unaware of the academic happenings of UNLV. He's not seen the multitude of construction projects that are taking place on campus as we speak. The situation is this. The academic side has already exploded. Just look at the record because it speaks for itself. If you've ever heard UNLV's president, Len Jessup, talk in public, without fail, he always mentions UNLV's intent on becoming a Carnegie Tier 1 research institution. He's always mentioning it because he knows UNLV is right on the cusp. He knows that UNLV is right there academically and has so much more room to keep growing. For UNLV, the question really is not if they can achieve Carnegie Tier 1 status, but it's more a question of when it's going to happen. People familiar with UNLV are aware of how fast the university is developing academically because its development is happening faster than virtually any other university in the nation. The reason is, just like everything else, academics at any institution of higher education are driven by supply and demand. And the demand for higher learning in Las Vegas is soaring. Let me put it this way. UNLV only began in 1957. It was in 1964 UNLV had its very first commencement ceremony, which only had a meager 29 graduating students. In university years, 1964 is extremely young. My question is, name me any other university anywhere in America that has started no earlier than 1957, but today operates, among others, a business school, engineering school, dental school, law school, and medical school. As far as universities go, UNLV is growing freakishly fast, which is in correlation with the growth of Las Vegas itself, which has led the nation in growth for much of the past 20 years. Consider also that right now, almost no other school in the Mountain West Conference offers the array of academic opportunities that UNLV does, even though all of them, and I mean all of them, have been around much longer than UNLV. And why not? Because the level of demand that's currently driving UNLV's academics upward has never fully existed at those other schools. Let me point this out. Look how long ago other Mountain West Conference schools started. San Jose State began in 1857. Colorado State started 1870. The University of Reno, founded in 1874. Wyoming started way back in 1886. Utah State University began in 1888. University of New Mexico in 1889. San Diego State 1897. University of Hawaii 1907. Fresno State 1911. Boise State 1932. And then finally you have UNLV, which was founded in 1957. UNLV is the youngest institution in the Mountain West Conference by a lot. Yet it's the only institution in the Mountain West who today has a medical school, has a law school, has a dental school, has an engineering school, with more programs and construction projects in the pipeline. Already, UNLV is rolling out development plans to expand its campus another 42 acres westward toward Tropicana and Koval, which is just adjacent right to where they want to build the $1.9 billion dome football stadium, which will accommodate UNLV's football program. So the rate of growth for a young university that celebrated its first commencement speech a few decades ago with 29 graduating students is insane. This palace of a football stadium for a program that only started playing D1 college football 38 years ago is insane. So I would say, in response to my friend's observation that UNLV must first improve its academics to join the Power 5, I think it's fair to say that not only has UNLV's academics been improving for the past 30 years, but have improved faster than virtually any university in America. Reaching Carnegie Tier 1 status will happen inevitably for UNLV. It's likewise interesting that Las Vegas is the largest metropolitan area in America right now that presently does not have a Carnegie Tier 1 institution. Everything is catching up with the growth, and in very rapid due time, UNLV will be among the top national universities academically. Just look at the example of the law school. It's a young, dynamic law school. It launched in only 1998, received full ABA accreditation in the fastest time possible, and has not only cracked the nation's top 100 law school list for 9 consecutive years, but it keeps climbing the rankings and currently is rated the 62nd best law school in America, according to U.S. News and World Report. When you look at the other schools listed, they're all programs that have been established for 100 years or more, not less than 2 decades like UNLV. Yet we see how quickly UNLV's program has flourished. So this just puts things into context. What I want UNLV football fans to understand is this. You need to force yourself to forget the football struggles of the past, because those days are coming to an end. There's a renaissance of growth and transformation beginning over the next few years with the football stadium construction and relocation, with the building of the Fertitta Football Complex, with the elevation of recruiting elite talent, with winning more games each year under Coach Sanchez and his staff's leadership, and competing for conference championships, and the fact that Las Vegas will soon become a mega football town with an NFL franchise primed for Super Bowl action. We know it, and anyone who's watching the program knows it, that UNLV football is bringing more and more to the table, and by year 2020, the Rebels will be the most attractive program on the market to join the Power 5 schools. The Pac-12 already loves Vegas, already has ties with Vegas and with the Las Vegas Bowl and its basketball conference tournament in Vegas. A top 25 UNLV football team playing a ranked USC or UCLA or a team like Arizona or Utah on the Las Vegas Strip in the most beautiful stadium in the world makes too much sense to overlook. Let's have this conversation again in 2020, 2021, and we'll see where things are. But in my opinion, it's really just a matter of timing, but the move to a Power 5 is inevitable in the coming years. In the meantime, Rebel fans, get excited, show support, talk to your friends, to your neighbors, buy season football tickets, and enjoy the journey, because transformations like the one happening in Las Vegas and at UNLV right now aren't typical. They're not normal. They don't usually happen for many universities, but it's happening at UNLV. It really is a fun, special time right now that you don't want to miss. So I think that's it for now. I'll try to have more podcasts coming up, breaking down the offense, the defense before the season starts. In the meantime, you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at rebel_raid. I'm Grant Bowler. You've been listening to The Raid, and I will talk to you later.